Good morning. Well, welcome to everybody to this rather different video. I am Penny Dix, astrologer and life coach, and I'm looking at a business astrology chart today with my two victims who are going to introduce themselves, who have recently launched an on the way up successful business. So, ladies, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Tara, and I'm the designer maker for Lois Jewellery.
I'm Lorna. I'm her mother. Um,
Oh, she has a mother.
exactly. Not only does she have a mother, I'm the unpaid slave. But no,
Love it. Love it.
I am.
I have to say, I do rather like your t-shirts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Lois.
Very professional. We like to be branded.
I'd like to be branded too.
There are all these tattoos.
Listen, I have to just, show a bit of this bling because this is some of your recycled, my hand's shaking, recycled jewelry that you have done for me, which I absolutely love. Oh, and this rather stunning piece, along with my name tag, which of course is backwards because we're filming it, but it would be, hang on. Oh.
Now it's backwards. It was It was the right way round.
Oh, was it? Oh, right. Oh, it looks backward to me. Anyway,
Yeah.
this is
backwards.
Stop flashing your boobies, girls. Listen, the most important thing about astrology is that it's fun, because the energy of the cosmos is kind of this neutral energy with which we can use it's like a weather forecast. So it's like we can use the weather forecast to decide whether now is a good time, in your instance, to launch a business or not, or to hold off until slightly better weather conditions. So you have given me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the natal chart for the concept of the business first. And then I'm just going to have a quick look at both of your individual charts and then put them all together into the business chart so we can see where this is all going. So super exciting. So this is it is a concept which is happening, I think, with quite a lot of astrologers now, that companies do actually seek the advice, if you like, of an astrologer to see if what they're doing and what they're planning is actually a good thing. And also astrology or astrologers are used in quite a lot of human resources departments now, which is I think super interesting. And I think it's the way we're going with astrology. Now, you gave me a date for Tara Lois's jewelry business, which is the 22nd of July 2019 at 08:30 Central European Daylight Time. And that was here in Rabat, Victoria, Malta. So that's the correct timing you gave me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember what we did then, but we did go back through.
I think that was when we were first starting to look at logos.
Yeah, that's right. We first ordered the logo. We went back through the emails on the logo development.
Brilliant.
And that's when we first commissioned or spoke to the woman who was going to design the logo for us.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that's perfect because it's a point in time, and it's a point in time that is memorable to you, therefore it's relevant. The chart actually is really very good. So you chose a nice moment in time to do this. First of all, what I want to talk about is the chart has what we call fixed energy in it, which means that it's on an angle of a Leo ascendant, which is superb for launching a business, I think, because Leo is all about creativity. It's all about bling.
Tara's good at that.
Yeah.
I was going to say I'm wearing my fair share as
Fabulous.
well.
And so the fact that it's a Leo ascendant, because the ascendant is how it's received by others, how people look at it and see you. And they would see this as a really interesting kind of project. And what's interesting is that the fifth house, which is a Leo house, although it's not in this chart, but it is, it's all very complicated with astrology. It's a Capricorn. Yes, exactly. It's a Capricorn house, but Capricorn is the sign that really works hard and gets to the top of the mountain. And I've looked at your chart, Lorna, and I think you're most definitely a Capricorn ascendant. That absolutely fits so well. So basically, what's happening with this fifth house, which is the house of creativity, is you've got Pluto, the planet of transformation. You've got the South Node, which is where you're coming from. It's the ideas you're bringing in.
Okay.
And
it sounds painful, a South Node.
it's also known as the dragon's tail.
Ooh, that's more her style.
Yes. And you've also got Saturn here, which is very much about boundaries, structure, building something from scratch. So it couldn't be more appropriate in that sense. So it really does kind of bode well. The moon, interestingly, is in Pisces, and it's at the end of the sign of Pisces. So this means that there is a wealth, an ocean of creativity that is wanting to pour through. Yeah, and it's through other people, because it's in the part of the chart that is to do with significant relationships. So this is something, this is almost like saying it's a family business, but it's also goes beyond that, because the creativity and the imagination that comes from, because you've actually got Neptune conjunct the moon. So there is almost a kind of a psychic intuitive side to the way you're able to create, Tara, that really flows through. It's an incredibly powerful planetary aspect. Now, then we need to look at the midheaven, because this is Taurus. Taurus is the sign of loyalty. It's also the sign of money. So
we like that then.
Ding, ding, ding. Ching, ching. So there's a sense that you can go a long way with this. And also the planet Uranus, which is the planet of the unexpected, of innovation, of invention. And in a sense, what you're doing, Tara, is inventing new designs. So it's all part of that same creativity. Taurus is the sign of luxury. So it can be luxury goods.
Yeah,
But
that's definitely where we're going.
but what's super interesting is that Uranus is in the 9th house of the chart, which is about overseas matters. So I would say from this chart, this means in unexpected and extraordinary ways, this gets right out there. This goes across the oceans. This goes to America, to Australia, to New Zealand.
I mean, we're already in Australia, so.
And America.
Right.
Yeah, no,
go.
we've already sold, or say we, Tara's Jewellery has already sold into Australia, into America. Hawaii is part of America.
Oh, yeah.
It's all right. It's just geography.
Yeah, I was going to say, but even Indians who have their own filigree history.
Wow. Wow.
Tara's Jewellery, which is kind of interesting.
Interesting.
Different about what she's doing with it that even intrigues people whose cultures include some of the work that she creates.
So are you thinking of kind of incorporating other cultural ideas into your jewelry making?
I mean, in a way, I already am, because I have been trained in loads of different places using loads of different techniques. And so, like, I learned enameling in France. I learned the basics of all jewelry making in London. I studied design in Scotland, and I've literally been learning filigree here. So I've already incorporating all of those cultures, as well as the cultures of the people I'm talking to and I'm working for. So few of the people I've been working for are of Indian descent, a few of them are Sri Lankan, and I've been trying to incorporate their beliefs, their cultures, and all of that into the jewelry that I make for them.
But I mean, even Tara herself, I mean, she's a mix of cultures. You know, she was born in Britain, she was raised in France, she now lives in Malta. You know, she studied in Scotland. She's just European.
Cosmopolitan.
There you go.
You make me sound like a pizza.
But your jewelry has also appeared in several magazines, hasn't it, Tara?
I've been in Vogue magazine, then they decided to throw me into Vanity Fair. Then I've been into Mayfair Life and a couple of their other subsidiary magazines.
Wow.
I was also apparently in, was it the Times or the Guardian, without my knowledge?
No, I think it was the Independent. Somebody said, well, one of the UK nationals, but we have no idea where. Somebody came up to us and said, "Oh, I read about you in the newspaper. I think it was the Guardian or whatever." And we're like desperately scrabbled to try and find out where it was and couldn't find it. So, you know, who knows?
What's interesting from the chart is that you've got the planet Jupiter, which is this planet of luck, opportunity, and expansion, in the sign it rules, which is Sagittarius, which is also about long distance matters. It's about education. It's also about kind of law and legal things and anything of that kind of nature. But what's interesting is it's in the 4th house, which is the house of home. And so without even knowing you, I would have said, do you run this business from home?
I mean, can you not tell from the cupboard?
I was going to say,
home where you go and do the jewelry making. You go. She puts you in a cupboard.
I'm doing the jewelry making in that cupboard now.
No, but no, home has just doubled in size so that she can keep working from home.
Yeah. And because Jupiter is bringing a lot of kind of, in this position, it's kind of like abundance, it's energy, it's luck. I think you are going to be very fortunate. So this chart tells me that there will be fortunate opportunities that just pop up unexpectedly.
You know,
that was Vogue. We thought it was a spam. We thought it was a scam email because they were like, if you'd like to be in Vogue, please press this link. And we're like,
well, it was an email from a business called Condé Nast. Would we like to? Like to be in Vogue? I'd never heard of Condé Nast, which tells you, you know, my background.
I have heard of it. Yes, I have heard of that.
And I looked at it and it was click this link if you're interested. And I'm like, sounds like spam. But I did check out who Condé Nast was, and damn me, didn't they own Vogue? So we clicked the link.
Well, I don't think they own Vogue. They're a subsidiary of Vogue.
No, Condé Nast
Are they the umbrella company? The umbrella company.
There, which is why they took your jewelry from Vogue and put it without saying anything into Vanity Fair as well. So yeah.
What you have to watch out for, because there's always there are always negatives that come into all of this. What you have to watch out for, I think, Tara, is that you don't get overstressed and that it doesn't get you down emotionally, because sometimes it can cause, because you've got Neptune squaring Jupiter, so this can kind of bring up feelings of depression and I can't cope and it's too much and oh, forget it all kind of stuff.
It does have days like that, don't you?
But then I have the weekend to recharge. So.
Well, sometimes you don't have the weekend to recharge, but what we do is we just say, you know, look, so for example, we just did 6 days of retail leading up to Christmas, and it was punishing. I mean, I don't know. I have a great deal of respect for anybody who's in a shop working. I mean, it was painful. And, you know, those 6 days were 12, 13-hour days for us. And, So she's just done nothing between Christmas and New Year. It's just, you know.
Well, I have been doing something, which is playing the new games I got for
Yeah,
Christmas and reading a book.
She got games, she's been reading, but in other words, she hasn't been working. And I think the key is to also for Tara is to alternate how she actually works. So some days she will be making jewelry, and she'll come out of her workshop and go, you know what, if I'm in there anymore, I'm going to melt it.
Yes, no, that's happened a couple of times. I'm sat there soldering and suddenly like, okay, let's just stop. Something looks like it's going.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Do anymore.
And
Yes.
There's another aspect of the chart, which is Mars in Leo. And Mars is a planet of assertion, energy. It's very active, but it's contained in the 12th house, which means that this is something you like to do very privately. You don't want anyone poking their nose in. And that way you can come out into the sort of the light and go, da-da. So it's very important that you have that kind of privacy, because I think that's where you work best, because you need that relationship with you and the jewelry and the gold. In a sense, you have to have a symbiotic relationship with the piece that you're making. Does that make sense?
No, that does make sense. I get very frustrated when people just randomly walk into the workshop and I'm like, please just knock and I can tell you to no.
She said, when she says people randomly, she means me.
Yes, I do. Although you're mostly coming in and telling me, Tara, could you take photographs of your work so that we can post them on Instagram?
No, she forgets. As you say, she's so involved in the process. She never remembers to take photos. She never remembers to take videos. And I'm sort of sitting there going, I'm trying to post something on social media for you, but I do need content.
Content, yes, does help.
Just privacy.
The other thing that's very interesting about this chart is that in the part of the chart, which is the 11th house, which is all about our hopes and wishes and dreams and projects and putting something out to the community at large, it's Cancer. Now, I think you're a Sun Cancer, aren't you, Tara? Yes, which will come in a minute. It's this part of the chart, you have both Venus and Mercury conjunct, and they're conjunct the North Node in Cancer. This is about your destiny. There's no way that this can't actually unfold and be successful, because the only way it would fail is if you just decide not to do it. So you are being caught along now in a kind of a wave of energy with this business that is just going to keep growing and growing. And the sun in Cancer, so this must have been soon after your birthday when you were doing all of this.
Yeah, it would have been.
July 22nd. What's your birthday?
July 1st.
Oh, there we go. So the sun was at the right at the end of Cancer. Now, when a planet or the sun or the moon are right at the end of a sign, it means they've completed what they need to do in that sign. So they're looking to the future. They're looking to the next sign to go and explore. And of course, the next sign is Leo, which is where the ascendant is. So this is about, I need to explore my creativity. I need to create something which is lasting. I need to create something which gives pleasure to people. So it just couldn't be kind of more balanced in that sense. So you spontaneously chose a really good time to launch this business. Now what I'm going to do, is there anything you want to ask? Because I'm going to bring in your the business chart with your chart, so we see where we are with this and what was happening that day. Anything you want to say at this point, Tara?
I can't think of anything specific I want to say apart from everything you've said is ridiculously accurate.
Like your jewelry, ridiculously accurate. So let's look at what was going on when this all kicked off. So, okay, so there was something about this. You had Mercury was transiting Mercury was actually retrograde. So it was something that you perhaps came at, ran away a bit, went back to, come back again, and maybe, you know, there may have been a sense of false starts at sometimes, or a sense of, is this the right time, or shall we leave it a bit, or what shall we do, or, you know, do you see what I mean? Where should we go next with this?
That made perfect sense, because she still had one more year of university to go. So we were already planning, or she'd already told me, this is what I want to do. I want to start a business. And I said, well, let's get the logo sorted so that we can maybe do something between now and then. And then she went into her last year of university.
And then COVID.
COVID.
So we had as well a couple of rocky false starts at the beginning of COVID, going, should we really be doing jewelry online? Should we really be starting a jewelry business now? And
she graduated. Well, we got both of the Warren and Tara back from the University of Dundee in the May of 2020 on a repatriation flight, which was a bit surreal because the airport was empty. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, the flight had maybe 15 people on it.
And to be honest with you, she'd had such a stressful time graduating, or not graduating as the case may be, because of course there were no ceremonies, but she'd had such a tough time getting through the process on her own.
I mean, the main problem with that is the fact that I had to, because I couldn't submit my sketchbooks, I couldn't lay everything out on a giant table and let people look at it, touch it, like flick through my sketchbooks. I had to photograph every single page, every single piece from multiple angles so that people could get the best idea of what they were.
You had to be digital.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in a way that was good, because that meant that we had photographs to work with. Not the best of photographs, because she was still learning. She was still learning how to do photography. But when she came back, of course, she had all of the jewelry from her degree show, which never happened. And literally the first 3-4 weeks that you were there, she was the model, and Paul was taking photographs all over our house of her wearing jewelry that we decided to put online. So it was a very strange start, but we got forced into digital immediately, which was in the end it was good. I mean, you know, there's no regrets at all about the way it happened. In fact, if anything, fate shone on us, because everything that happened literally has turned out for the best.
Yeah. And I think that will continue to be the case. I think that you know, if we look at these two charts that she had at that point, her chart and the jewelry making business, what's interesting is that Pluto is what we call on your descendant. Now, Pluto is the planet of transformation. The descendant and the 7th house are about significant relationships. This shows us that you are about to do something that would transform all the lives of the people that you are close to. So, you know, it just is what it is. And once Pluto fully moves into this sign, into Aquarius, which it will dip its toes into this year, I think you're going to find you're much more online stuff. I think there's going to be a lot of the work you do will be online.
Well, one of the things we are currently looking at is virtual reality jewelry. So like scanning in or making renders of my jewelry that people can then put on, say, their gaming avatars, or they can go into a virtual reality shop, actually try it on, looking in a mirror and seeing how the jewelry would look on them, kind of thing.
And they can either buy the real thing and
copyright that. If this video goes up, copyright it.
It belongs to somebody else, unfortunately, and they're the ones that we're getting.
I see. Okay.
There's a whole online world there, and we're thinking of selling real jewelry as well as digital jewelry, and letting people and putting it all into blockchain so that the NFTs are all sorted. And anyway, so complicated, but what
I'm going to quickly do is I just want to look at now, and then I'll look at you, Lorna. But what I want to do is look at, we've got a full moon on the 6th of January. So that seems like a good one to have a look at, because it's not conjunct Tara's sun, but it's kind of in that kind of general area. So this full moon is in Cancer on the 6th of January. And it's quite interesting looking at how your chart has changed from the transits of when the conception of the business happened, because in your business house, in your career house, you just have so many opportunities for things to really take off, and they will take off in the most extraordinary ways. You won't be able to keep up with the twists and turns of how things unfold, because it's just going to be kind of just extraordinary what happens. And there's a lot of energy connected with what's going on overseas. I think there is an abundance of business that is probably going to come from overseas. That is, I just think that's how it is. You've got that energy until the middle of May this year. Then Jupiter is going to be moving into your 10th house of career, and then things are going to really take off even more. So I hope you are taking good care of yourself, because things are really going to speed up. Things are going to speed up in 2023. It's going to get very busy.
Oh, that's interesting, because we've already talked about hiring somebody else or taking on an apprentice. Yeah.
Right. Well, that would be fitting, actually, because the sun in this chart that's opposite the full moon is in the 6th house, and that can mean taking on extra help. And it would have to be somebody who is hardworking, reliable, and the only problem we've got at the moment is that Mercury is retrograde. So while we're actually doing this recording, Mercury is retrograde as well. Yes. So, and we just know that with Zoom doing its thing. Strange system, Zoom, but there we go. We don't want to upset Microsoft, do we? So but
not what jewelry, no.
Yeah, but the other thing about Mercury retrograde is you might find you have people coming back. So clients that perhaps you dealt with a couple of years ago are going to be coming back and asking for more and doing more.
You couldn't put that better. Just before Christmas, she's had what, two people come back who we've sort of had on back burners for about 2 years. Year and a half, 2 years.
They contact me initially, we're interested, and then a bit of nothing, and then can we have meetings, and then a bit of nothing, and now we're slowly getting into the groove of things with them.
Yeah.
Right. So at that time, you actually had, I think you had a vision of how you wanted the routine of this to be. So you had a sort of vision about that, and you knew it was going to involve a lot of kind of careful communication in how you kind of molded it all, gave birth to it, if that makes sense. So it was like you wanted to give birth to this creation, but you had to tread softly. Does that make sense?
What's so funny?
What's so funny? Okay.
Most grand, when we first started this, you had almost grand designs of how this was going to go, and then you realized, oh wait, she's one in charge.
Well,
what? Yeah, go on.
I was going to say that the thing is that, you know, like most parents, you want your children to be able to survive in life comfortably and do what they love, because then it's not a job. You know, it doesn't get any better than that. And not only that, I love jewelry. So to have a daughter who's a jeweler.
You did make the most of it when I was 14.
Bling everywhere.
Okay. I'll buy you a stone. You've got to learn how to stone set.
What's interesting? Sorry?
I was the best client.
Absolutely. I think I'm your
Yeah.
second best, actually.
Oh no, at the moment you're stripping, Mum. You've got more than she has.
I was going to say, stop making for me because now she's got clients.
Yes.
Unfortunately, what was it you said? Live comfortably with food on the table.
But you see, this chart shows me you're the glue, Lorna. You're the glue that holds it all together.
Initially, I am. That's true.
Yeah.
I promised 3 years of my life to get this going. If it
Yes.
made it, an awful lot of startup businesses don't survive the first 3 years. And you know, if you look at the amount of effort, and you'll understand this as well, Penny, being an astro coach, you know, I mean, the reality is that what goes on behind the scenes is enormous compared to what you see, which is a piece of jewelry that's created.
Yes.
And it's very hard to do that without either the funding to pay somebody else, or somebody who will step in and say, you know what, I'll support you through that period. And that's what I've done. And I suspect I won't ever leave full time, but I have told her that, you know, within about three to 5 years, because now I can see it's going to make it past the 3 years. You know, I'll stay involved for another, but eventually I would like, in terms of day-to-day operations, to be replaced. I don't.
Well, by then you'll probably have a fairly good turnover, so you can employ people to do that.
Yeah, well, that's the good point.
I mean, that is very much the plan of, but hopefully by the end of what Mom's willing to give me, I'll be able to potentially hire 2 more people, which would be a social media person, because I'm fairly sure you don't like doing that, and to help me keep with upkeep of the amount of work that I would be needing to do, since I'm starting to run out of being able to do all myself.
Time, you know, for her, time is the limitation, and you know, replacing me is about income, you know, to the business. Yeah.
I mean, what's interesting when we look at your chart, Lorna, compared with the jewelry business launch or in conception, is that Jupiter that rules Sagittarius was conjunct your sun. This is a super, super good symbol. So you had an idea that had no possibility almost of failing. It just didn't have that possibility. It had so much going for it from this basic chart. And because you've got Saturn conjunct your sun natally, you knew it would be hard work. You knew it would take time, and you knew you just both had to sort of knuckle under, so to speak, and just get on and do it. And as you say, because you have an experience of company work, if you like, you knew that you needed to give it 3 years, see how it goes, and then take it to the next level. So what I'm going to do before we finish is also put in for your chart the full moon in Cancer, so we can see where things are now for you, because full moons are about completion, and I'm wondering whether there is a part of the business that is coming to some kind of time where it just needs to shift and change. And maybe that's in the sense that you want to bring in some more people to work for you because it's too much to do on your own. But the full moon is actually in your 6th house, and I think you need a holiday, Lorna. I think you need a rest, because I think this full moon is going to say, just let me take a little bit of time out. It's not so much physically, but it's mentally. I think psychologically, mentally, you need some time to just.
Well, that's really interesting, because two things are on the horizon. One is that the initial website development, we realized we initially thought it would be sort of like 30 odd kids, you know, just starting to develop in life, still not quite married, but buying jewelry for themselves, women mostly. We've realized after two years of running Tara Lois Jewellery, that's not true. It's the market for Tara's jewelry is not about male or female. It's not about age. It's about personality. And the people buying Tara's jewelry are strong. They're self-financed. They've got real personality. No, but they you know,
Yeah.
instead of trying to define people in terms of age, sex, and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
that's not the point. Her jewelry has a specific size, it has a specific statement. I mean, I was watching on the news today that Vivienne Westwood just died, and I sat there and I thought, wow, Tara is sort of the next Vivienne Westwood of jewelry.
Wow, yes.
She's that kind of out there. She's not everybody's cup of tea. You know, if you want your small, petite little necklace, this is not you're not a Tara Lois Jewellery client.
No.
But if you want that statement piece, if you want something that you know is unique and nobody else is ever going to have, that's who you are. You want unique.
Yes.
You want special.
It's the individuality, isn't it? The individuality and unique kind of stuff that some people like. I love to have something that is unique and just individual. But
I mean, even the stuff she makes off her own designs rather than working closely with clients. Every single one is different. You'll never see another one the same. Might have the same sort of basic form. It'll never be the same as anybody else's. And I think there is a market for that. It's not high street. So, you know, that's where one of the questions I've got for you, if I can throw it in now.
Yes, let's do questions now.
Is there a particular part of the world that the charts are suggesting we should go look at? Because two things are happening. We're about to redesign the website to move it more upmarket, more luxurious. And the other thing that we are looking to do is find international, well, we you know, the idea of a holiday, it's a bit of a busman's holiday, but we were thinking of doing a road trip somewhere in the world. Initially, we were talking Paris, London, and New York, to go find galleries or high-end retailers who will take Tara's jewelry. But it might be that India is right, because, you know, the piece that she created for the lady who's Sri Lankan was modern, contemporary, but stunning. I'm fearful of the Chinese market because you see so many people copying. But again, that's a huge growth market.
What about South America? What about South America?
You know what? I haven't really thought about South America, but this is why I'm interested in your thoughts from the chart. Because
there's also with South America, and the chart doesn't particularly show up, and you can't really look for something like that. There are charts one can do where you look for parts of the world where you would be best suited. Excuse me, but I'm just thinking South America has a wonderful gem industry, and you know, natural, you know, Colombia, these sort of places where, you know, where you can just get the most, and the South American women, I think, are the kind of sort of rather exotic women that like statement jewelry. Just a thought.
No, it's a good thought. We haven't even really thought about South America, have we?
No, we thought about all the places that are popular for fashion and jewelry, because they're the ones you hear most about.
You know, Singapore, but you know, it's all very trite when you're in. No, I mean the jewelry, the market definition is very trite, in as much as it's always the same: London, Paris, New York, Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai. You know, these are all the places that you're being referred to in marketing reports, whereas I don't think that's got anything to do with Tara's marketplace. But no, good advice. We'll go think about South.
Any other questions before we bring this to a conclusion? Because we've sort of done the hour, and I don't think as a video we want it to be too long.
No. So can I just ask you to confirm? You said that from the 6th of January it was best to do.
Did I?
Yes.
No. I would. January, the first 2 to 3 weeks of January are going to be a bit because we've got Mercury retrograde. I would use it for taking time out. I think yes, we have a full moon on the 6th of January, and I think that's when around this time, like the next couple of weeks, I think, Lorna, you need to look at getting some mental rest if you can, just kind of, you know, slowing down a bit. I think also because you have got Saturn conjunct your moon, which will slows us down anyway, but it's like work with the energy, Saturn is saying take time out because you will work better if you're fresh.
Right.
So there's that.
No.
The significant kind of pointers for next year really are towards the end of January, beginning of February. We will have had Mars that's been retrograde will go direct, and so will Uranus, and so will Mercury. So things are going to speed up in terms of the business from sort of mid-February onwards. March is going to be a significant month for everyone. So it's a really good time to kind of think about looking at what you're doing, what you're launching, how you're strategizing.
Would you suggest March is a good time to go on the road and go meet possibly?
Yes, I think it would be. I would say March, April, May, all those months are really kind of good for that, actually. And you see, because in May, Saturn is going to be moving, Lorna, into the part of your chart that is to do with finance and luxury goods and things like we're discussing. And so I think that it's going to be helping you put down a really solid structure to the financial side of this business. I think you're going to be seeing how you can budget it, how you can, look forward with how you fund it. And I just think that whilst Saturn is there, which you're going to have it there for a couple of years, it's going to be really super helpful for that.
Okay, excellent.
Perfect.
Any last questions?
No, I think you've answered pretty much all of them already.
Yeah, no, that's sort of
So what I'll do is I'll stop the recording and stay on after I've stopped the recording, but we'll just go, thank you everyone so much for coming to watch this different video about business astrology. Thank you so much, Tara, and thank you, Lorna, and all the links will be in the description box. And thank you for joining us, and remember to like, comment and subscribe. Bye for now.